contains a subplot or is a narrative that is made up of several stories, then there may be a character who is interpreted as the protagonist of each subplot or individual story.
One thing, you mispronounce the word narrative. It's not narrative, it's narrative. But that's, that's forgivable. What's another name for the protagonist when we're watching a movie, reading a book?
The hero.
That's the hero or
Heroine.
the heroine. Come on, some heroes are not males. And so we do the, could you sit up for me please, Shamar? Thank you. Are you okay? All right. You don't look too okay. All right. Okay, moving on. So we know the protagonist and the antagonist, and we know that these two don't get along because the antagonist conflicts with the protagonist. Who can think of two characters that are protagonist and antagonist? Maybe in a cartoon very quickly, yes.
Batman and Joker.
Oh my goodness, everything but the exception.
I know I said that.
Everything except.
I didn't hear what he said. Could you repeat?
The Batman and the Joker.
Batman and Joker. Anybody else that is notoriously known for being arch enemies? Tom and Jerry. I thought Tom and Jerry, and there's another one that's quite popular. Shamar, how do you call the antagonist for the Road Runner? What's the name? I always find them to be very hilarious, and they're consistently at each other, so they consistently demonstrate this type of relationship, the antagonist and the protagonist. Yes, my friend.
Would Superman and Batman be considered one?
I wouldn't think so. Are they arch enemies?
No.
Batman considered.
Only one.
In some movies, right? And stories have changed over time. They don't only play one role. So, yes.
Superman and Lex Luthor.
Okay, definitely. Antagonist, protagonist.
Thor and Loki.
Okay, very good. Now you're presenting some antagonists and protagonists that might be different from my era, but I'll take your word for it. Especially Miss Irina, who, is very much into literature. Okay, let me get your attention back. Now we're done with those two for right now. Let's move into the themes. And for this, I'm going to ask Gabriela to read. This is the moral.
The moral of the story is the recipe is not in the context of the reason.
A little louder, please. Okay.
In general, stories involve
Okay, and then it goes into talking about Aesop fables, and it talks about one particular moral that was left with one story. Who could tell me what that moral was? I need somebody to, it's right there on the handout. Say it loudly, please.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. There's a story about the dog and the bone, where the dog looks in he has a bone in his mouth, and he looks in the water, sees the reflection, and when he sees the reflection, he thinks, dog in that picture down there has a bigger bone than I do. So he goes and he barks at the dog in the reflection, loses his bone, and of course the reflection was him. Moral of the story, be satisfied with what you have, and don't be coveting other people's, stuff, because you might be losing your stuff and end up without anything like the dog in the bone story. Moral. You read a lot of moral literature. You read a lot of moral stories. Is there anybody who wants to quickly share a short anecdote of a moral in a story? No idea come to mind? Yes, Michael.
I have one, but it's too long, so I didn't say it.
Let's hear the moral of the story, just the moral.
That you can't do anything if you really work hard towards your goal.
And that's a mantra of mine. That's something that I live by, right? You can do just about anything, providing you're willing to put in the hard work, right? I want my students to be like that too, believing that they can do That's a very important moral. Now, we're going into the conflict, right? No one likes conflict, but we do have them. It's a reality of life. And so we have the external and the internal conflict. If you're to look at the second handout now, this one with the picture is very colorful. I liked it. You have at the top the antagonist and protagonist there. I like that the guy is the antagonist in it, but you know, that's me. I'm a female, so. And then you also have the moral, which is the central idea, and it's a part of the theme. And then we go to conflict, and there's a complicated map there, right? What does the first box say? From conflict, there are two options, just like we have on the board.
Internal, external.
Say it again for me a little louder.
Internal and external.
Very good, thank you. And for the internal, it is the person versus self. Who can tell me about a conflict where a person versus has a conflict with him or herself? What comes to mind very quickly? Yes.
And the movie Fight Club, he fights himself because he joins this club, but in reality, he wanted to know the leader, but he had some mental problem, and he was actually the leader. So he was fighting himself the entire time.
Do we have internal conflicts every day? Should I wear this or should I wear that? Am I hungry or am I just craving some food because it's lunchtime? Should I go and be Andrew's friend or should I have lunch with Cassie? You know, sometimes they're minor little conflicts, right? But we have them, right? Should I apologize to Miss Burns for being late to her class, or should I just be miserable and march in her class as if I don't care? Internal conflicts, right? And we debate ourselves every day, sometimes on small issues, sometimes on big issues. Who wants to share a debate that they had today with themselves? Wait. One person. I need one person to share. Thank you, Jalen. Should I wake up now or should I wait until mommy wakes me up? Right? Very good one. I think my son plays that one on me every morning, no matter how much alarms he set. Okay, and then there's the external conflict. The external conflict, read with me the boxes. The first one at the top there.
Person versus nature. Person versus person. Person versus society.
Alright, and because these ones are a little lengthy, allow me to go into them. Person versus nature. So, I'm walking outside and I just got my hair done at the salon. You know, it cost me a pretty penny. And then the rain comes down. I don't have an umbrella and I'm trying to hide under a plastic bag. Person versus nature, right? I can't stop the rain. True?
Yeah.
Things like that. Things that you cannot stop because they're a force of nature. That's a conflict, an external conflict. The rain is conflicting with my beautiful hair that I just got done. It cost me a pretty penny. Second one, person versus person. We have this all day and a lot of them break. Lunchtime. Across